Hello everybody, today I want to discuss how you can avoid falling into the TTL trap. If you shoot with your speed-lite, your camera should stand in manual mode. Of course always, because via the shutter speed you will control the ambient light what comes in, and via the aperture you will control the power of the speed-lite that comes in, the amount of flash that you let in. When you are in TTL mode, ETTL or ITTL or however your brand is calling this, it's real lens metering. Your speed-lite will communicate with your camera, and depending on your shutter speed, manual aperture and your ISO, it will then depend how much power it will deliver to give you a proper exposure. And if you shoot directly onto your subject, the metering is also directly onto the subject. It will give you the proper exposure, but oftentimes it will be kind of flat and it's not very appealing. So what we do then, or what we tend to do, is we turn the head of our speed-lite on a surface. For example, I have a white wall there, I have a white wall there, and then the metering is still for this distance, and it's not always the case, depending on the distance to your reflecting wall or whatever, and the brightness of it. But in most cases you will see that you have a decrease in power, so that you, for example, will have a stop less of light, or even two or more, when you bounce your flash. And the best thing to compensate this is via exposure compensation, where you say, for example, you have a look at your histogram and you see, oh, I could go 2 stops higher with the speed-lite, so I let my camera tell my speed-lite, you know what, in these conditions just go up 2 stops with your power, and this will work fine. What you shouldn't do is, and I let you see this in some examples, is trying to crank this up with your ISO, because the following is happening. If you crank up your ISO, your speed, the power of your speed-lite will go down, because it takes the measurement what is there, and it will put into calculation that you let more light in via your ISO, so the speed-lite has to work less to give you the same exposure as you already have. So if you go to 200, from 100 to 200 ISO, the speed-lite will stop down. You go to 400, the speed-lite will stop down, and you crank up the ISO and you lower the amount of light what's coming out of the speed-lite. And this is because TTL decides that this is the proper exposure for you, and this is what you are looking after. I show you this in a second in some examples. And also the negative part of this is you create noise, you get more noise. At a certain point it can go, the power of the speed-lite can go down in a way that it doesn't even affect the image anymore, so that you in fact just have a very, for 128 of a power, for example, and you see it flash, but it will not affect the image, and it will not affect it in a way that it, for example, stops motion, that it freezes the action, or that it delivers a sharp image. So camera shakiness will occur. It will not be frozen by the flash. These are all the negative things that come along with this. So let me show you some examples. Here we have the first image directly flashed onto my dear dog Daisy, 125 second f50, and the only thing that I'm going to change first is from the direct flash on my dog, I'm going to do it to bounce from the wall. As you can see, and this is what I mentioned, it's not necessarily that it really gets much darker, but it can. So in this case, I just tend to keep it this way and not to crank anything up via exposure compensation. But what I do is I'm going to show you that the cranking up the ISO will nearly have no effect on the image. So what I'm doing now, the next step is 200. ISO 200, and you don't see any difference in the light to ISO 100. This is because the flash stopped down. The next thing, ISO 400, another stop. You see that it will not change the exposure because the flash acted accordingly. Only thing what will happen is it will increase noise. I'll show you this in a second. At 1600 you see it still has the same exposure. We go to ISO 3200, same exposure here, and ISO 6400, same light what comes in, because the flash has stopped down. What you will see is that it's not that sharp anymore, and that you have here color noise, and it's just a noisy image. With 3200 I'm now going back here as noise and just let do a comparison with the 100. It was a quite sharp image, and I didn't do anything to sharpen it. This is it. No noise, sharp. At 200 it's still good and bearable. Takes a few seconds because I run many applications at the same time, and I think this explains everything. So I hope that this helps, and I wish you a happy day, happy shooting, have a great one. Goodbye, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, share this video if you like it, and yeah, subscribe. Thanks for watching.